Welcome to CSEC Biology with Mr. Charles. Today we are looking at the May-June 2003 Paper 1 Multiple Choice Past Paper. We will specifically be looking at questions 41 to 60. As is usual, please pause the video before I answer each question. Items 41 to 42 refer to the following diagrams: Figure X, Figure Y. We have here, for Figure X, we have a histogram, and Figure Y, we have a compound bar chart. Number 41. Figure X could be used to show A. The stages in the life cycle or life history of an insect, B. The heights of students in a school, C. The number of shrubs in a field, and D. Variation in the skin color among albinos. Okay, so Figure X is a histogram, okay, and we use histogram to represent continuous data, okay, meaning that data where you have a spectrum of values from lowest to highest, okay, instead of definite values, okay. So the only continuous data here is the heights of students in a school. So our answer here is B. Number 42. Figures X and Y can both be used to show different examples of A. Variation, B. Reproduction, C. Selection, and D. Cell division. Okay, so this here is continuous variation. Okay, we use a histogram to show continuous variation or to represent data on a characteristic that shows continuous variation in a population. And then we use bar charts, or compound bar charts, to represent data that follows a discontinuous variation pattern. So these two graphs can be used to show continuous and discontinuous variation, in other words, variation. So our answer here is A. Number 43. In which of the following does meiosis occur? A. A developing embryo, B. The skin of a mammal, C. The testis of a mammal, and D. The tip of the shoot of a plant. The answer here is C. The testis of a mammal. Okay, meiosis occurs during the production of gametes, and in the testis of a mammal, that's where a sperm is produced. Okay, that's the male gamete, and then the female gamete, which is the egg, is produced in the ovary. Okay, so that's the two places in humans that meiosis occur, in the testes and in the ovaries. Number 44. Between the ages of 3 and 5, boys and girls show a reduction in their growth rate because A. They do not eat a lot of protein, B. They are suffering from worms, C. Their body cells divide by reduction division, and D. The rate of division of the body cells is slower. Okay, the answer here, the only choice here that makes sense is D. Okay. Number 45. Which of the following combinations of sex chromosomes is found in the nuclei of non-reproductive human cells? A. XY for males and YY for females, B. XX for male and XY for female, C. YY for male and XY for female, and D. XY for male and XX for female. Okay, that's a knowledge question. The answer here is D. XY for males and XX for females. Okay, good. Items 46 to 47 refer to the following information: a cross between red and white flowered plants of the same species produced plants with pink flowers. Okay, so you have red, so you get red and white giving you pink, so that would be incomplete dominant. So red, okay, and if you get all pink, then it means that, okay, red was homozygous, so red, so big R, and white was homozygous for white, which is big W, big W. Okay, so when you do the cross, if we do the Punnett square, the cross would give us all heterozygous offsprings. Okay, red with the red and the white allele in each case. Okay, and that would mean that, okay, you have RW in all cases. Okay, so 100% pink. So you have a blending in the phenotype. Okay, that's the case with incomplete dominance. You have a blending in the phenotype. The blending does not occur in the genotype, but it occurs in the phenotype. So while the alleles here are different, okay, in the phenotype you'll see one color, and that would be pink. So the question asks, what would be the expected phenotypic ratio of the F2 generation if selfing occurs? So what we've just found here, that's the F1 generation, or the first filial generation. We want to find the F2 generation if selfing should occur. So that's where you take two of the offsprings from the F1 generation and you cross them. So you have RW, okay, RW crossed with RW, and we find out what we get. Okay, so in a case like that, we would get in this cell here, we would get RR, or big R, big R. Okay, then here we would get RW. Okay, RW. Here we would also get RW. Alright, and here we would get WW. Okay, so this one here would be red. Okay, this one would be pink. Okay, so that's red, RED. Okay, so I have one red there. This would be pink. Okay, pink. This one here would also be pink. Okay, pink. And the last one would be white. Okay, so this WW would be white because it has the two alleles for white. Okay, color flowers. Good. So you get every time the cross is done, we have a 1 out of 4 chance that the offspring would be red, 2 out of 4 chance the offspring would be pink, and 1 out of 4 chance the offspring would be white. So the ratio would be 1 red to 2 pink to 1 white. So we are asked for the F2 phenotypic ratio. So it's 1 red, 2 pink, and 1 white. So that's D. Okay, our answer here is D. Good. Now, let me just clear all this so we could go to the next question. Okay, so the answer here was D. If one of the pink flowered plants were crossed with the red parent, what percentage of the offspring would be expected to have pink flowers? So one of the pink, so RW, okay, is crossed with the red parent. Okay, big R, big R. Right, remember big R, big R is red. So when we cross them, we want to find out what percentage of the offspring would be pink, okay, or would have pink flowers. So here we would get red here, R, okay. We would also get red here, R, okay. And then here we will get RW, which is pink, okay. And here we will also get RW, which is pink. So in this case, 50% would be red and 50% would be pink. Okay, as this here. So we have 2 out of 4 being pink, so that's 50%. So our answer is C. Okay. Number 48. By which of the following may new plant varieties arise? Okay, I want you to pay attention here to what he said, new plant varieties, not new plants. Okay, so whatever the answer is, they must be able to produce new varieties of plants. Okay, 1. Mutations, 2. Mitosis, 3. Breeding. So A, you have 1 only, B, 2 only, C, 1 and 3 only, and D, 2 and 3 only. So the answer here is mutation and breeding. So our answer would be 1 and 3 only. So that's C. Item 49 refer to the following diagram which shows parts of the digestive system in man. So 1 is the liver, 2 is the small intestine, 3 is the pancreas, and 4 is the stomach. 49 says, excessive consumption of alcohol may lead to an increase in size and damage to the tissues of A. 1. The liver, B. 2, which is the small intestine, C. 3, which is the pancreas, and D. 4, which is the stomach. Okay, the answer here is A. The liver. Okay, that would be cirrhosis or damage of liver tissues, and fatty liver or the accumulation of fat on the liver itself. Okay. Number 50. Which of the following does not provide a form of immunization? A. Inoculation with a mild form of the disease, B. Inoculation with antibodies, C. Isolation of the affected person, and D. Breastfeeding of an infant. Okay, so all of these are able to provide immunization except C, which is isolation. Okay, when you isolate the person, it does not make them immune to the disease. Okay, it just takes them away from the source of the disease, which is a pathogen. Okay. Number 51. Which of the following is true of antigens? A. They are produced by white blood cells. B. They cause the production of antibodies. C. They get rid of antibodies. And D. They are used to treat diseases. So the answer here is they cause the production of antibodies. That is B. Okay. So when the immune system recognizes the antigen, it would produce an antibody that is able to bind to that foreign antigen. Okay. Number 52. The rapid spread of a disease through a population is likely to occur if the disease is A. Inherited, B. Caused by poor diet, C. Transmitted by a pathogen, and D. Caused by malfunction of body systems. Okay, the answer here is C. Transmitted by a pathogen. Okay. Number 53. Which of the following has not contributed to the marked increase in man's life expectancy over the last 100 years? A. Gene mutation, B. Better medical care, C. Improved sanitation, and D. Increased information about disease. Okay, the answer here is A. Gene mutation. That has not contributed to the increase in man's life expectancy over the past 100 years. Good. Number 54. After several weeks of heavy rains, a sandy soil may A. Lack oxygen, B. Lack mineral salts, C. Become waterlogged, and D. Become more fertile. Okay, the answer here is lack mineral salts. Okay, that's B. Number 55. Soil fertility may best be increased in the short term by the A. Rotation of crops. B. Addition of manure. C. Addition of lime. And D. Terracing of the land. The answer here is addition of, not lime, but addition of manure. Okay, addition of manure. Which of the following situations best exemplifies an ecological community? Which of the following situations best exemplifies an ecological community? A. The organisms in a freshwater pond. B. A flock of migrating birds. C. Flies on a piece of rotting meat. And D. A colony of termites. Okay, so in an ecological community, you must have different populations of more than one populations of different species. So that would be in the freshwater pond, okay, because you would have different species of organisms in the pond, right, and you would have them in different populations. So that's A. A is our answer here. On a field trip at the seaside, your group collected several specimens of sea urchins. After these have been sorted, counted, and classified, what would you suggest is the most appropriate course of action? A. Kill them. B. Return them alive to their habitat. C. Preserve all in formalin. D. Place in plastic bags and display them in the laboratory. Okay, so good ecological practice means that after you have studied an organism, you should return it alive to its original habitat. So the best answer here, or the most appropriate course of action, would be to return them alive to their habitat. That is B. Okay. Number 58. An open field was investigated using meter quadrats, or 1 meter quadrats. Okay. In 5 random throws, species A occurred as shown in the table below. So you have the information in the table here. Number of species, total number of plants in the quadrat. Now, this data can be used to determine A. Cover only, B. Cover and density, C. Frequency and cover, and D. Density and frequency. Okay, now we don't have sufficient information here to determine the cover or the species coverage, right? So what we can use this information to determine is the density and the frequency. Okay, so that would be D. Okay, D. Good. Number 59. What would be the best method of investigating the range of organisms found between the low tide mark and the high tide mark on a sloping rocky seashore? A. Use a line transect. B. Collect as many species as possible. C. Use large quadrats. And D. Take a complete census of the area. Okay, so when you're sampling organisms in an area where you have a range, okay, from moving from one abiotic factor, okay, or you're investigating an area, or you're sampling organisms in an area where you have a sloping, right, land, or you're moving from high tide to low tide, you tend to use a line transect. Okay, line transect are most preferred here. So the answer here is A. Okay, use a line transect. Number 60. The table shows the results of analyzing a soil sample. Okay, so you have the soil components: sand, clay, and humus. Okay, 16% clay, 63% sand, and 18% humus. You are also told the pH of the soil sample, which is 6.9, around the neutral pH. Now, the farmer from whose field the sample was taken would best be advised to A. Plant a crop which requires a lot of water. If you plant a crop which requires a lot of water, the drainage would not be ideal for that crop. Okay, so that's not the best advice here. B. Abandon the field altogether. Okay, there must be something you can do, so you don't want to abandon the field. C. Grow plants which prefer well-drained soil. Okay, and D. Turn the field into a cow pasture. Okay, the most appropriate answer here is the best advice would be grow plants which prefer a well-drained soil. That's C. Okay, because the high percentage of sand, which is 63%, would permit that high drainage that the plants require. Good, so our answer here is C. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you very much for being my audience. Please remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more videos like this. Do enjoy.